It's Monday at 9 o'clock. That means we're going to talk to our guy, Jonathan Allen, Pro Bowl Commanders defensive end. He's presented by Main Street Bank. Cheer local, bank local. Put their team in your office. Visit mstreetbank.com for more information. Jonathan, one of the themes of the show, and I know you're going to disagree with it, is it was a moral victory for the Commanders. What was the locker room like after that game?
Frustrated because I felt like we let one go. I felt like we played good enough. We should have won that game. Obviously, they're in the NFL too. They made plays at the end of the game that we didn't make to win. We felt like we let them get away with one, to be honest with you. Obviously, offense did everything and more they needed to do. Defense just has to be better. We're not playing bad. We're just it's just messing up one thing here or there that's leading to big plays. So we'll be better this Thursday. You know, good thing about this week, we'll get a quick turnaround, put this game behind us, and move forward. But it's frustrating when you let them go.
Are there individual plays that you, as a defensive tackle, like rewind in your head, or just plays that you didn't make defensively as a team? What are the plays that haunt you from that game?
It's hard because we got back a little late, so I haven't had a chance to watch the film yet. I can't pick out specific plays. I know that's not the answer you wanted, but I have to watch the film, which we're about to do today. So after that, I'll definitely be able to look at it and give you a better answer. But just in general, it's just we're right there. You know, I guess that's the difference between good and great teams. You know, you got to find ways to pull that game out and win that game. So we'll be better with that, and we're definitely looking forward to this game on Thursday.
Jonathan, when you're laying your head on your pillow last night, is your brain like racing? Like you touched on the fact that you felt like you let that one just slip away. Like, does it wake you up in the middle of the night? You're like, oh, we should have won that game in Philly. Does it keep you up at night at all, or is it just something you compartmentalize? You're just able to go on to the next day?
No, it definitely keeps me up at night. But, going into year 7 in the league, one thing I realize is you don't want to let one game become 2 games, become 3 games, become 4. So, obviously, I'm looking at what I did good, what I did wrong, and how I can improve for next week. But with the short week, it's like, hey, man, it's time to turn this thing around and get ready to, play Chicago at home on Thursday. So you're definitely frustrated we let that go, but you got to take what you can from it and move on and try to apply that to the next game.
Hey, Jonathan, I don't know how much you can talk about this, but we were discussing the game plan defensively, especially against the pass with, trying to stop A.J. Brown. And A.J. Brown's a great receiver. He only had 1 catch against you last year when you guys beat him up there. And, that's an unbelievable job, but he's so good. He's going to get his, right? But we noticed that Forbes was kind of tracking him and covering him all across the field on both sides. And what was the game plan in the secondary going against A.J. and Devontae? Both great receivers, hard to shut them both down. But we just were wondering why they didn't just kind of switch off, maybe put a more physical DB against him.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a great point. To be honest with you, I really don't. That would be a better question for Coach Del Rio or the DBs. Me, I'm so locked into what I got to do up front throughout the week that I'm not really focusing on what they're doing back there. I know for me, if we don't stop that run, we don't have a chance. So, throughout the week, I'm just like, hey, I need to make sure I'm playing with good technique. I need to make sure I'm playing with good pad level and good hands and aggressiveness and everything you got to do. So I could give you an answer. I don't really feel like I'm qualified to really answer that question because it would just be me spewing a bunch of things.
I will say, I think you guys did a good job stopping the run. Swift, who had some really good games, was held to 56 yards on 14 carries. Jalen Hurts got out for a couple plays, but overall you guys kept him in check. He only finished with 34. I wanted to ask you, though, what it's like to compete against that Eagles offensive line, because the hype is they're one of the best. Everybody knows about Kelsey and some of the guys on that offensive line. What was the individual battle like for you?
I think what makes the Eagles O-line so good is like the perfect storm. Individually, they're 5 great offensive linemen. And then you throw in the fact that they probably have 1 to 2 Hall of Famers on that line, and they all play well together. And then not only do they have great individual players that all play well together, they have a scheme that plays to their benefit and plays that puts them in good situations. So, I mean, you know it's going to be a physical game when you go there. You know it's going to be a tough game, and honestly, I love it. I enjoy competing against those guys every single game. But, I mean, it's not hype when they say they're one of the best.
I'll tell you, Jonathan, I brought this up a little earlier, and people might think I'm crazy. But, I've been a long-suffering Skins/Commanders fan for years, and you guys have dominating defenses at times, but we've also had some fairly mediocre defenses. So the way I look at each possession is, can we force a punt? Or, obviously you want a turnover, but can we force a punt or can we hold them to a field goal? And you guys did that 7 times, actually. So you gave up a lot of points, but, there were some moments there where you guys came up big, I'd say.
Yeah, no. One thing if you're not really watching the all 22 and you're obviously not in the NFL, one thing you don't realize is the difference between giving up 34 points and giving up 16 points or 20 points is so small. The margin for error is so small in the NFL. So, when you look at the first game and you look at this game, the difference between the Cardinals game and this game is probably 4 plays. You know what I mean? So, it's tough because I feel like we played good in stretches. But, that's not the NFL. You got to play good for 60 minutes, 4 quarters, and in this case, 5 quarters.
Right.
So they made the plays they needed to when they won, hats off to them.
Yeah, we're talking to Jonathan Allen, Pro Bowl defensive tackle. The counter would be, and this is the concern from fans, I'm sure it's the concern from you guys, is it's 3 straight games giving up over 30 points.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a legitimate concern. But one thing I will say is it's the NFL. Obviously, we're not going to play good to the best of our ability every game. But you have a bunch of young guys who are going to work their butts off and get it right. And we're going to get this right. So, obviously, as a defense – oh, sorry. Did you guys hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no. I promise you this game doesn't hurt worse than anybody other than this defense. This definitely was we pride ourselves on being a really good defense. So for us to go out there and really have this 3-game stretch where we're just not playing our standard, we're going to get this fixed. And we're working our, what's off every day to get back to what we know to be good defense.
Well, Jack has a tendency. I want to ask you about how, but just quickly, Jack seems to have a tendency here, and you've been under him the whole time, where the first 4 games there's sometimes a struggle, give up 30 points, 28 points, whatever, and then the last 12 or 13 games kind of figures it out. Do you realize that that's been the experience, that that's what's happened here? If you look at the first 4 games over the last 4 seasons, you guys give up about an average of about 28, 29 points per game, and then you lock down the rest of the way.
Yeah. Obviously one of the goals this year for this defense was to start fast. We started fast in that first game, and then we kind of we kind of dropped the ball a little bit. We understand that we're going to be better. As far as that, man, I don't know. I really don't know what to say about that. But one thing I do know is with the guys we got in this room and the coaches we got on this team, we're going to get this thing corrected.
Talk about Hal, because the fans in particular, we could see how cool his demeanor is and how unfazed the guy is. But it really, I'm not sure he quite realized how important this game was, at least for the fans, to show that he can have a bad game, bounce back, and play great. And he just responded so well. I'm sure you're going to say you weren't surprised, but just give your thoughts on Hal and what you've seen so far and what you like about him.
It's funny. When I first met Jalen Hurts at Alabama, the one thing that was off-putting for a lot of people was his demeanor, because he didn't show a lot of emotion. And you wondered if he cared until you saw him play, and then you're like, that's just how this guy is. And I see the same thing in Sam Howell. And one thing I know about guys with that mentality is no one's tougher on them than themselves. So what everybody else is saying about them outside doesn't really affect them. So when they have a bad game, they're going to be their own worst critic, and they're going to respond. Time and time again, I've seen it. So when I look at Sam Howell, obviously you don't know how good he was going to play, but I knew he was going to have a bounce-back game. I know how important it is to him. I see his demeanor day in and day out. He's our quarterback. We trust him. I trust him. And, I'm glad the fans got to see it so they can trust him, because he's special.
You probably won't say this, but I'll say it. And I think you actually admitted this for the Arizona game, that it was a must-win considering the circumstances. But now Chicago, short week. They've got Fields. Now Fields had been struggling, but he had his best game of his career, at least passing-wise he did, with 4 touchdowns against Denver. They lost. And he had a couple turnovers, but he threw 4 touchdowns. He's very similar to Hurts, obviously being able to run the ball. You're probably not going to admit it's a must-win, but fans are going to say we have to beat Chicago. They're 0-4. We got them at home on primetime Thursday night. What do you think?
No, we have to beat them. We have to win. This is a must-win game.
Okay.
The only time it's not a must-win game is if you got your playoff spot clinched.
Gotcha.
Besides that, every single game in the NFL is way too important. It is way too important. We got a tough stretch coming up, and this is a game. It's a trajectory game. It's either going to traject us up or down. So we've got to win this game. I truly believe that.
Joined by Jonathan Allen, Commanders defensive tackle, presented by Main Street Bank. So you were in on 57 defensive snaps yesterday. How do you recuperate in a 4-day turnaround? I mean, you're colliding with 320-pound men for nearly 60 plays. Like, how do you get ready for a game so quickly? I mean, you usually have the week to recuperate. Now you got 4 days.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm going to go in. I'm going to hit my heavy squats, workout, stretch, foam roll, really try to up my rehab. Tomorrow we got a nice little practice, really flush it out, hit my heavy upper body. And then Wednesday is the day before the game, so I'm going to, get some treatment. And, I mean, Thursdays are tough. I mean, I'm not a fan of them. I won't get into that, but I'm just not a fan of these Thursday games. But at the end of the day, everybody else is going through it too. So not really an excuse, not really something to complain about as professional athletes. If anybody can do it, we can. So, we'll be ready.
So we kind of glossed over Justin Fields. He did have 4 touchdown passes yesterday, had been struggling. Last year he runs for almost 1,200 yards. What do you know about the Bears? Fields, you can say he's a little bit like Hurts, but he's faster. He's not physical like that. How does the defense prepare for somebody like Justin Fields, who this year so far hasn't been running like he did last year, but last year he's one of the top 5 runners in the league?
Yeah, no. One thing we as a defensive line got to do, we got to stop the run. We got to make them uncomfortable in the pocket, and we really got to rush 4-1 against this guy. We all know what he can do. I mean, I think he's the best running quarterback we've seen since Michael Vick. I mean, you could put Lamar Jackson in that too, but, I really am really high on Justin Fields' ability to make plays with his legs. And at any moment, he can go rush for 200 yards dang near. So we understand the challenge that's going to come up, and, hey, we'll be ready.
Hey, Chase had another sack. I have to say, he's been a little bit more impactful maybe than I thought he would have been through 4 games so far. I'm sure you're not surprised. You know what a freak he is. Just kind of talk about Chase and his progression.
Yeah, I'm happy for Chase because it's been a long 2 years for him. The year he got hurt and then the year coming back. And, I mean, I'm a firm believer of, you guys play basketball. Sometimes you just got to see the ball go through the net. You know what I mean? We could talk about having these processes and being confident in yourself. But, I mean, as an athlete, eventually you want to see your hard work pay off in the game. So for him to see his hard work paying off is going to do nothing but boost his confidence, boost his, demeanor and everything. So I'm very happy for him because I know where he's been at, and it's tough. I mean, any athlete who's been hurt for an extended period of time, it's tough. I mean, I want fans to think about this. People always say, I don't live football. Football is just my job like that. I don't believe in that. Football is who I am and is what I do. And then when you get hurt, you get that taken away. You're not really going to team meetings. The team's moving on without you. They've already put somebody in your spot. You're talking to the guys during rehab, during treatment, but that's really it. You're not out there on the field. You're not in the loop. So you really lose, a little bit of identity crisis, man. It's tough. I know my rookie year when I got hurt, it's brutal. Man, I know how hard it can be to go through an injury like that where you're missing a large amount of time. So I'm happy to see him be able to come back and look like his old self again.
Hey, John, on those 4th and shorts, those tush pushes or whatever they stupid things they call them.
Brotherly shove.
Now, obviously the rules are different. You can push them, but can you kind of tell us what what's the strategy from your individual standpoint there? Are you targeting Hurts there? Are you just trying to clog the space? Or is there a lineman you're just trying to take out? How does that work?
I think that play's stupid and needs to be banned, but that's besides the point.
Right.
I know for me, it's a rugby scrum dang near, pretty much. I'm just trying to get as low as possible and just clog the hole.
Right.
There's really nothing else I can do. So, I'm dang near laying on the ground just trying to throw myself at their ankles to stop their momentum and pray to God my guys in the back come and try to push against them. And,
You guys did okay, right? We got a penalty or something. We stopped them on one of them, right?
They had an offsides.
Philly definitely false started, too, on one of the tush pushes. Come on.
Yeah.
Which I didn't understand, John, because that lineman, I can't remember what lineman it was, but his hand was right on the ball. Doesn't he see that? I don't get how his hand was right on the same line as the ball. You're going to be called for that.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I don't blame the refs because, I mean, refereeing's got to be a tough job. I mean, they're going fast. There's a bunch of bodies. It's a crucial point of the game. Everybody always says nobody likes when the ref makes a play to influence the game at the end of the game. You always want to let the player on the field do it. So the ref's trying to decide, do I call this? If I call this, I can call it 50 other times. So, and it's all happened within a split second. So, I mean, I'm not really tripping about the call. This is football, man. Like, hey, this is a different conversation if we pull off this game and we get the win. So,
Jonathan, I'm not going to put you completely on the spot as to what you would have done because you guys opted to kick an extra point. But what did you think you guys were going to do as a team after you scored the touchdown? Did you think Riverboat Ron was going to go for 2, or did you think he was going to kick the extra point, which ultimately he did?
To be honest, I had no idea. Half the guys on the sideline thought we were going to go for 2. Half the guys thought we weren't. We had no idea at the end of the day. I mean, it turned out to be the right decision. We got the ball first in overtime. A touchdown ends the game. Offense has been looking amazing. Defense had an opportunity to stop them. We just didn't, execute. And hindsight's always 20/20. The way things played out, I think if Coach knew it was going to play like that, obviously besides us not winning, you take your chance with your offense getting the ball first. They've been having success all day. The defense we feel like we know we have, put us in a position to help win the game as well. The players just got to execute, starting with the defense.
All right, John. Well, listen, you got a big one this Thursday. It's going to be a quick turnaround. I know you're going to get you're going to get your lift in, get that lactic acid out, going to get work done. You're going to go through the film and everything.
Squat day, EB.
Yeah, big day for you. Thank you, buddy.
No worries. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
All right,
bro. Good luck Thursday.
All right, see ya.
Do you think there's any chance that Jonathan Allen knows the backup quarterback for the Bears? Do you know the backup
Hold on.
quarterback for the
Don't
Bears?
tell me.
Is
Justin
this the
Fields
D-
obviously the
D2
I'm going to
starter.
say
right?
I'm going to say Nate Peterman.
No, I think it's a D2 kid.
Oh, I know who it is.
Who is
A
it?
kid from Shepherd College or something.
Yeah, he beat out PJ Walker. I
Oh
can't
yeah,
remember his
the
name.
kid from Shepherd.
Tyson Badgent.
Badgett.
Oh, wow.
Or
Yes.
Bagent. I don't even know how you pronounce it.
That was Jonathan Allen, presented by Main Street Bank. Cheer local, bank local. Put their team in your office. Visit mstreetbank.com for more information. When we